Are you someone who's constantly worrying about your hairline or bald spots? Do you feel like your hair is holding you back from your full potential? Well, a hair transplant could be the answer to your problems. But before we jump into the procedure, there are certain factors that you need to consider to determine whether you're a good candidate for a hair transplant or not. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Amit, and in this video we're going to be discussing the top 5 factors that will help you determine whether you're a good candidate to get a hair transplant or not. First factor is age. Generally, the best candidates to get a hair transplant are those over the age of 30. This is because by the age of 30, your hair loss pattern has become more predictable and you would know how much of hair you can actually get transplanted onto the areas that you need to be covering. It is also very important to wait for your hair to stabilize before getting a hair transplant to prevent further hair loss in the future. When you do get a hair transplant for a certain area on your head, like for example just your hairline, your mid-scalp and your crown are still susceptible for further hair loss unless you're stabilizing it. Ways to stabilize it is getting on medical therapy such as finasteride and minoxidil. Over the long run, it'll be beneficial for you and the growth will be hand in hand with your new transplanted hair. The second factor is the extent of your hair loss. Hair transplant works best for those with pattern baldness, which means that you're losing hair on your crown or your hairline. If you have hair loss that's diffused all over, hair transplant might not be the best for you. In such cases, it's important to consult with a doctor to see what the best option is for you moving forward. Another way to tell for your extent of hair loss is by checking what Norwood scale you are on. Usually a doctor will help you determine this level of your hair loss, but you can also see the chart here. I personally was a Norwood 6 when I got my hair transplant done, but I got my hairline and my mid-scalp covered. I am going back for my crown to hopefully finish the full job. The third factor is the quality and quantity of your donor hair. The success of any hair transplant largely depends on the quality and the quantity of your donor hair, which is the hair that is being transplanted to the balding area. If you have thick, healthy hair on the back of your head, you are a great candidate to get a hair transplant. However, if you're thin all over, including your donor hair, it's most likely you're not a great candidate for a hair transplant. From my personal experience, my doctor quoted me that I was a great candidate because my donor hair was very thick. That's another reason why I'm going for a second hair transplant, because I have enough donor hair to even cover my crown, which I'm going back for soon. So it's really dependable on your situation. Consult with a doctor as well. Let them give you their professional advice on whether how thick or thin your donor hair really is. Fourth factor is your overall health. To be a good candidate for a hair transplant, you need to have good overall health. This means ideally you shouldn't have any underlying conditions prior to a hair transplant, as it could affect the success of the hair transplant that you end up doing. It's also very important to discuss with your doctor prior to getting your hair transplant done about any underlying conditions you have. Things like smoking and drinking also are not really great before a hair transplant. And if you're not taking care of your health, it's not a good idea to get a hair transplant after. So the fifth and final factor, which I think is the most important factor, is managing your expectations. While hair transplants can provide significant improvements to your hair density, they may not be able to fully restore your hair to its pre-balding state. It is important to have realistic expectations and understand that results can vary from person to person after getting a hair transplant. In my case, I was pretty lucky for my hairline and my mid-scalp to really grow out as much as possible. I'm really thankful for it, but again, there are still some thinning areas that I see personally that maybe on the camera you guys don't see it as much. But for me, I didn't have anything before and now I have something on my head and I cannot be more grateful for it. So my expectations are managed completely and I'm not really upset with how it's turned out. I'm happy and the point is to be happy. Alright, so that was the 5 factors that you should definitely consider for getting a hair transplant to see whether you're a good candidate. If you like videos like this, do consider liking and subscribing. I am going on my second hair transplant very, very soon and I hope to see you guys along the journey with me. Until then, have a great day and I'll see you soon. Peace.